Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today, I am so excited to have on a 51-year-old from Cornwall, Ontario, drafted 6th overall in '88 to the Toronto Maple Leafs, a two-time Turner Cup champion in the IHL with the Chicago Wolves. He played 292 games for Toronto Maple Leafs, Quebec Nordiques, Edmonton Oilers, Buffalo Sabres, and the New York Islanders, and is probably most proud of being a North American roller hockey champion head coach, but might not be as proud about having the worst internet in North America. Welcome to the podcast, Scott Pearson.
Thank you, Wally. Yes, we've had some internet troubles, but you're absolutely right. The highlight of my sporting career was coaching you in that roller hockey tournament, whatever, 20 years ago, 18 years ago, whatever it was. Absolutely. It's good to see you.
Hey, great to see you, and thanks for coming on and making the time. I think I reached out to you on, was it LinkedIn originally?
Yes, it was.
That's
right.
But so my first segment is how we know each other, and that is you coached me in the weirdest roller hockey team I've ever been a part of. Myself and my college roommate of 4 years at Western Michigan, which we hadn't gone there yet, but we'd played junior together, and we were really good at roller hockey together, but we were hired guns for a team out of Atlanta.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I had just moved to Atlanta, and my good friend John Bardis was owned the Cooler. It's called the Alfred Family Skate Center, and his two boys were playing roller hockey at the time. And I had just gotten here to Atlanta, and he goes, "Do you want to coach my son's roller hockey team?" I said, "John," I said, "I don't really, know much about roller hockey. I just started working with him in his healthcare company." And he said, "Can you do some hockey stuff at the rink? And then also, as I mentioned, the roller hockey." And I'm like, what the hell? Let's give it a try. And we had a hell of a lot of fun. And then, as you mentioned, the one experience I had, one of the first weekends we played was like you said, we asked you guys to come and play, and I could see where John was a real competitive guy. He wanted to win, so having you two Canadian guys come into our team really helped us. We ended up winning the championship that year, as you mentioned, which is a lot of fun.
Well, I just couldn't believe it, because I had only played roller hockey for fun, where like my parents kind of had to pay, right? You might get some sponsors, but then that summer, get an email out of nowhere from John Bardis to myself, Daryl, my buddy, and it was basically, "Will you come play roller hockey for our team?" And he paid for our flights to Fort Myers to stay at the Lonnie Kai. Do you remember that place?
Oh yeah. Yeah, remember the Lonnie Kai? John and I had some laughs there, and it was fun with the boys. Absolutely. Right on the beach.
Oh yeah, so like this is to play roller hockey. They fly us down to Fort Myers. We stay on the beach. We get to know these other 7-8 guys, and we're a new roller hockey team with these guys from Atlanta. And we had a hoot hanging out on the beach and staying at the Lonnie Kai. And that was a qualifier. They still paid for us to go all the way to Minnesota to play at the Wilds Arena for the finals of Narch, which we did not win. I remember that. But then we won that tournament in Michigan, and this was all paid for. It was wild.
Yeah, you had to be 18 or so at the time, I guess, right around that age, right?
Yeah.
17, 18. Yeah. So like I said, I could see where John was a competitive guy, and he was like, "Let's get some kids who can really help us." And obviously you guys did. And we had, as you mentioned, it was great memories and great times for sure. And going back, that's really going back in time for me, which I haven't probably coached roller hockey since those 2 or 3 years that I did when I first got here.
Well, no, it was fun playing for you. It was nice to have a Canadian coach on that team that kind of understood us. And because, when you're that age, everybody's kind of different from where they grew up and, how they're raised and all that.
You guys fit right in.
It was fun on that beach, man. It was a great time. And when we won that championship, that was a pretty big deal, especially like for Daryl and myself. Like, we wanted to do our part. Like, you're going to pay for us to go to Florida. You're going to pay for us to go to Minnesota. Like, we better do our part. Right. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
Would
what a
have
time.
cut your pay. Would have to cut your pay if you didn't lead the team in scoring, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No,
Yeah.
but that was a fun time. So the next question is, or no, the other part of how I know you, sorry, is
Yep.
my favorite game, video games, growing up is NHL 94. Me
Okay.
and a buddy played a best of seven of best of sevens every year. We put a
Nice.
case of beer in between us, and that's what we do for a day. And you were on the Quebec Nordique, so that's where I actually really got to know you.
Okay.
And afterwards, I could still play as you when you were after you were my roller hockey coach, so that was cool.
That's too funny. I love that.
Okay,
That's a good
so
story.
where and what are you doing now?
Yeah. So I've been in Atlanta since 2001 after I retired. And my wife and I, we go back and forth. We have 4 kids between us. My job is here in Atlanta, but we go back and forth to Ottawa, Canada, and then here in Atlanta, because my 2 stepsons live in Ottawa. So and then my 2 kids are here in Atlanta while kind of jobs and school and stuff like that. But so yeah, that's sort of our kind of life right now. But everything's going great, and life is great.
That's awesome. Do you still see Mr. Bardis anymore, the roller hockey guy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. John's one of my best friends here in Atlanta, and in life, basically. Just really, what a great man, and gave me a lot of opportunity here coming to Atlanta, and I'm very grateful to him. But yeah, we're best buddies. We ride bikes and work out, and hang out with our wives and families and stuff. So yeah, absolutely. I see John quite often, not as much as I did when I worked with him, because we've kind of separated our work worlds. Because our company got sold, and then I moved. I stayed with part of the company I was with, and then John moved on from there.
Okay, yeah, no, I really like that guy, and for what he did, he made a great summer for Daryl and I. Like he really did.
No
Paid
doubt.
trips all over the place, and the thing I remember though was like a year or two later when the UFC starts getting bigger. There's a UFC fighter walking into the ring, and like there's John Bardis right with him, and I was like, I know that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. He was obviously his background is wrestling, and he went to college and almost made the Olympic team one year. And when the UFC started, he had a lot of hand in different fighters, and Randy Couture being one of them. I'm sure that's the guy you're talking about. Where he was actually in the corner with a few guys over the years, but him being the biggest name. And yeah, I went to some fights with him, and really great memories, and a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Well, tell him I say hi when you see him.
Absolutely. I'd probably see him this weekend. I'll do that, Wally, for sure.
And the other thing is I did notice on when my research team was hard at work today, is your son is playing hockey, eh?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Chase was drafted by the Red Wings in 15, and had a career at Maine, and then has been the last 2 years with their farm team in the American League in Grand Rapids. And yeah, things are going great. And then my stepson, both my stepsons also played. Luca played for Canada in CCHL, and was a leading scorer for a few years and had a great career there. And he just retired. And then my other stepson, Nico, was drafted by Cornwall and Smith Falls years ago as well. So a lot of hockey in our family.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
No, but it's pretty cool. I actually saw the one kid's stats there. He was like almost a point a game in the AHL this year. So he's knocking on the door, eh?
Yeah, exciting time for him. We'll see, and hopefully he can get an opportunity with Detroit. And he's working hard, and there's a big year coming up for him. But he's really passionate about it, and we're really proud of him for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Like I'm just seeing my little guy get into hockey at like I guess he's going to be having his first tryouts this year, and it's just cool to think of like what you're watching your kid do, right? So, anyways,
That's the best. That's an exciting time, Wally, and
I love watching it,
take
man.
in
It's
every
fun.
moment,
Yeah.
because it'll be over before you know it. And I'm sure you'll coach him and everything. Just great memories for sure. You'll love it.
And I guess the other thing I should mention is I guess this is Cornwall week, because the other guy I had on this week was also from Cornwall, Jeff
Is that right?
Legui. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I remember the name. I think he probably would have played for the Colts, I guess.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CCHL. Yeah. I remember the name. I think he was a very good player back in the day.
Yeah, he went to
Absolutely.
Ferris State and I played against him. And then in the UK, I
Okay.
played against him. But just interesting that I randomly booked two guys and they both happen to
Yeah.
be from Cornwall.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, that's small hockey world to get two guys from Cornwall. That's unusual for sure.
So then I guess that gets us into give me a rundown of your minor hockey to the Kingston Canadians.
Yeah, so as we're talking about, grew up in Cornwall and played my minor hockey for, back then it was called the Royals, which they used to have an OHL team there as well during in my minor hockey days. So we used to go watch them play, and it was a real thrill to play in their minor hockey system. And I played right up until first year midget. I played major midget that year, and then was drafted by the Hawkesbury Hawks in the CCHL as a 14-year-old actually, and went to their camp, but I was too young to play in that league. So ended up the next year. That would have been my Bantam year. After my Bantam year, after my first year midget, I went on to be drafted by the Kingston Canadians as a 15-year-old, and ended up in the second round. And I ended up making the team and played as an underage. And Bryan Fogarty was also picked, and he was an underage with me that year. But yeah, it was a great experience playing junior hockey. At 3 years in Kingston.
Yeah, so that is one guy I would like to bring up because I did read an article there today that you'd sent me about Bryan Fogarty is the person he is and the points he put up and how much your paths crossed. Why don't you just speak about him for a bit?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, he's from Brantford. Would that be close to where you're at?
Well, yeah, and that's actually where Daryl Moore is from, right?
Okay.
Yeah, with the guy we're talking about for roller hockey folks, that
yes,
he's gonna have to come on the pod at some point. He was on my team for like 6 years. We played all this roller hockey together. The guy's gonna have to come on at some point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think I do remember him being from Brantford. That's great. Yeah, so no, Bryan and I were drafted the same year. He was a very highly regarded defenseman, point producer, and could skate like the wind, and just an amazing talent. We played 3 years in Kingston, and then both got. He was traded the '88 summer to Niagara Falls, and then I followed. I went to Toronto's camp that year, and then I got sent back to junior, and I was traded to Niagara Falls, and we played together, and we had a heck of a run. I mean, we went to the league finals, lost to Peterborough, who ended up going to the Mora Cup. But yeah, Bryan, I think he had 155 points that year as a defenseman, broke Dennis Potvin's records, and those records still stand today. He was in junior, obviously beyond one of the best ever. And I don't think anybody's touched his points since, and probably never will. I mean, think about it.
Ever.
Yeah,
never, ever.
47 now, 47 some odd goals, and 100 plus assists, and had a heck of a career. And then, obviously went on to pro, and unfortunately that didn't pan out for him. Had some kind of off ice troubles and things like that, but great guy, loved him. Unfortunately he passed away. I think it's going to be 20 years after reading that article. A gentleman, like you talked about, put together a real nice long article about his life, and I was happy to be a part of it and help him write that article. But it's a good read for sure.
No, that I didn't really know the name, but I kind of did. Just I can't believe the numbers he put up in junior, and when I read the article, he's breaking Bob Orr's records and Al McInnes, and 155 points as a D-man. And like the article is very interesting. I should put it out there for people to read. It was an interesting read, and but you guys did cross paths a lot, which we'll get into your career now. Which
sure.
What year were you drafted 6th overall to the Maple Leafs?
Yeah, so that was in '88, Wally. I played 3 years of junior because I was an underage. So I played 3 years of junior.
Third year?
Yeah, after my third year. We didn't have a great team, but ended up, I think I was captain of the team that year. And so that sort of helped me kind of show leadership and whatnot. But yeah, so I got drafted 6th overall to Toronto that summer of '88. Montreal Forum was where the draft was, and went there with my family and friends and mom and dad.
You knew you were going high.
Yeah, so you would go back then, as it is today, you go and do interviews with teams and go and visit different teams that want to meet you and have conversations with you. So I did that that summer of '88, and yeah, I was slotted like to be somewhere in the top 10, and ended up being what an honor to be drafted by Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, looking back now, I didn't really understand at the time how the magnitude of being drafted 6th overall by the Toronto Maple Leafs is the mecca of hockey
and like kind of your hometown team, right?
Yeah. Ironically enough, though, I was a Philadelphia Flyers fan growing up, Bobby Clark fan, and just the grittiness and toughness of the Flyers back then. But obviously, beyond an honor to be drafted first round by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and obviously it's a very fond memory for me that I'll hold close to myself forever, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And by the way, cheers, by far and away the highest drafted player to ever be on the pod.
Oh, well, I'm very honored about that.
Yeah,
right on.
Yeah.
Well,
no, nobody's even close. And you got
okay.
we were just trying to get to like 1,000 NHL games earlier. Now we're well past it. So we're like at
nice.
We got to be at like $2,000 by now, I'd say.
Okay, well, good for you. How many episodes have you done of this so far?
We're in the 50s now.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
And doing it out of your shed in your backyard, you said. I love it.
Exactly. Just having beers for
Nice.
And I drink because the Bayfield Brewing Company supplies me with the best beers around, which I just opened a Hazy Sunset, but we were talking about Bryan Fogarty. I didn't think I'd mention it then, but that's a New England IPA.
Yeah.
And
he'd be having a beer with us right now if he was here, for sure.
I tell you, yeah, he sounded like a dandy that I would have a beer with. But
yeah, no, absolutely.
May rest in peace. But
no, absolutely. What a great guy, and the struggles though. But anyways, we can all learn from it.
Yeah, but no, this is just me having a couple beers with my friends in my backyard in my shed, and COVID made me think of the idea, and I tell you, I'm having a great time.
Yeah, great concept. Love it. Good for you.
I just missed my buddies around the world, and like look at our relationship. To think like I know you, people are probably wondering how the hell does he know him? And well, I played roller hockey for Atlanta, folks.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and it just goes to show you the brotherhood of hockey, and no matter how long ago, or even if I didn't know you and you asked me to come on, I probably would have done it. You know what I mean? Just that's kind of what we do as hockey players, and help each other out. So absolutely do whatever I can for you, and any other hockey guy for that matter.
No, well, thank you. And we won a championship together,
Absolutely.
Championships stay together.
It'll never be broken, man. That's right.
But anyways, one thing I wanted to mention is the year you are drafted 6th overall. Like, that's a hell of a roster that was that year. You had Medano, Roenick, Solani, Rod the Bod, Rob Blake, like Mark Recchi. There were a ton of players your age, eh?
Yeah. That was, looking back, probably, I know, I'm sure you can get stats somewhere from the Hockey News or whatever of, the best drafts ever, but definitely '88 had some Hall of Fame great players, and, it was an honor to be in the mix with all those guys. Guys that were picked after me were Roenick and Blake and Solani, as you mentioned, and that's a heck of a group there, boy. An all-star team, big time, for sure.
One thing I did actually want to ask, since you said you were on the ice earlier tonight, is how are you still involved in the game? How are you still involved?
Yeah, that's why I got this nick in my eye 2 nights ago. Actually, a young kid high stick me. My wife says, "What the heck are you doing, Jerry? Still playing out there with the young guys." So I said, I'm trying to keep in shape and trying to still show them I got it, I guess, right?
Oh, so you're still playing. You're still giving her.
Yeah. We're out there tonight with my son and a bunch of young guys kids who are aspiring to get to the next levels, Wally, like junior hockey and prep school kids and college kids and some minor pro kids.
And are you running the practice?
Well, it's not a practice. We scrimmage. Yeah.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. I really
Well,
couldn't. I'm a podcaster now, I guess.
Yeah, right. You got better things to do. No, we've been doing this for, gosh, it'll be 20 years in September that we started this little kind of, started 2-on-2, and then it evolved where we're like, okay, we need more bodies than this. And then it evolved. We get some more guys. And then next thing you know, we got a group of guys that play pretty regular.
And you got a pretty high level of play then, if like.
Yeah, more in the summer. In the summers are a lot more high level players because the young kids are back. In the summer, in the winters, it's more of the older guys, anywhere from 30 to 60 will come out, and we'll just scrimmage and have some laughs, and a couple guys that work at the cooler, and Steve Jacobs and Marcus Gustafson, and some guys that former college players, and that are in the game and are still involved in the Atlanta Fire, which is a program here in Atlanta. So we have a lot of fun, and really fortunate that I'm still able to play once in a while. And
you're still in the game. You're all still around it. It's still part of your life. No, that's good.
Yeah. And then I do lessons in the morning too with kids, probably 3 to 4 days a week, anywhere from 8-year-olds to, like I say, 22, 23-year-olds, pro guys, and trying to help them get them better. And real privilege for me, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed coaching the kids around here. Just watching them get better it's fulfilling, right?
It is. Absolutely. Really fulfilling. Good for you.
Okay, but anyways, you've done too much here to keep talking about all that here. So I did want to talk about in junior, like when you got traded your last year to so you're drafted 6th overall already, but you get drafted your last year to the Niagara Falls Thunder, and it looks like you guys are stacked. And you guys almost won it, eh? So is that in the old barn in Niagara Falls, like where I would have played junior B against Niagara Falls?
Yeah, it was. And I actually didn't even know this till I read the article that we were talking about earlier, that they were supposed to play in Hamilton, but they couldn't come to a lease agreement with the Cops Coliseum. So they ended up moving the team to Niagara Falls and playing in that small barn. And that was the best junior barn that I've probably ever played in. Small, maybe held 2,500, 3,500 people, and you're right on top of you, nice and loud. And as you mentioned, we had, a beyond all-star team. I think if you look down that roster, Walter, we probably had 8 to 10 guys that played at least one NHL game off of one junior team, which is unheard of, right?
Yeah.
And some of them had really phenomenal careers as well. So yeah, really great memories. Bill Lafleur brought me in, and I don't know if anybody knows the history of him, but he had coached in Vancouver and was a notorious, great junior hockey coach, and kind of had some nutty ideas, and kind of off the wall, tough as nails, and loved his teams to be tough. And then he brought in a guy named Dan Cameron, who was one of the best coaches I ever played for too. Just kind of a crazy wild man who would run the power play and keep the guys loose and have fun. And really extremes of two different coaches that I could have ever played with, but some great memories with some all-star guys and really good human beings too, that I still keep in touch with today, which is great.
So how close did you guys get to winning it? What, do you remember?
Yeah. So I think we lost in the finals to Peterborough, 4-2, I believe it was in the finals. And they had Domi and Ricci and a few other guys, on that club that were very good. But unfortunately, as I mentioned, he liked to play a tough game. Our coach did. So in the playoffs, we'd be down a goal or something. And he'd like, let's go run the goalie or something like that. This is back in the
I remember
mid-'80s, right? No, late 80s. So back in those days, the intimidation factor was still huge. But unfortunately, if we would have just probably been let us play and use our skill, I think we would have definitely probably dominated them. We wanted to play that tough game, which I loved, but again, maybe in the playoffs wasn't the best place to do those kind of things.
Yeah, you live and you learn, right? But that is, now that you brought him up, I did see. So when you're drafted 6th overall to Toronto, Domi goes 2nd round, and you played against him in the OHL. So you guys must know each other coming up in the same organization then, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Ty and I have a good bond, obviously being drafted together and having played junior against each other. And, he had obviously a phenomenal career, and who would ever thought that he would be, have as great a career as he did. But obviously he was tough as nails and would do anything it took to play. And, had some, great moments and great stories with him, and a lot of laughs over the years. And, he's always had everybody's back out there. So he was kind of the ultimate teammate, especially back in those days when fighting was really prevalent, and having tough guys on your team was a good thing and give you some room. And, like I say, the intimidation factor was good, but he had a hell of a career, and, really real good guy.
Okay, wow. So I just had to ask because I noticed it. So I know I'm not that big of a jock sniffer. I don't need to know about all these guys. But
Anything,
after
bring it up. It's fine.
I've never had a guy on that's played with all these guys. Like, we're talking, we still got Sakic, Sundin, Hasek. Like, we got a lot of guys to talk about. So might be a late night. Anyways,
no, sorry.
Okay, moving on but like that playoffs, I saw you had a big playoffs when you lose to Peterborough, and you go straight from there to the NHL. So what's that like when you get put out and sit, like what's it like getting the call or someone telling you? How do you find out you're going to the NHL?
Yeah. So that year, so I played like 9 games after my draft year, and it's still the same. Or if you play that 10th game, it's kind of like it's a year towards your contract.
I thought you went at the end, so that was at the start. Sorry, that was ridiculous. I should have.
No, that's all right. Yeah, so that's how I started. So 18 years old. I mean, again, I don't really think back.
I'm thinking of like really a college player, man. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I'm thinking you're. Yeah, my bad.
Going back, I today I realize obviously the magnitude of being on the Toronto Maple Leafs and being a first round pick and all the stress and pressure of that. But at the time, I was just playing hockey. I was just a young kid trying to do my best and help the team win. But yeah, it was amazing. Like my first NHL game, I'm 18 and I'm playing with like Tom Ferguson as my centerman, and maybe Russ Cordnell or somebody as my winger. And we're in Chicago Stadium back then, which is the old rink. The dressing rooms were way downstairs. You'd have to go up like 20, 30 stairs to get up to the ice surface, right? So I remember going up, and it was my first game, and it was warm-ups. So I'm out there, just taking warm-ups, whatever. Obviously the blood's flowing and energy's going, and we're very nervous. And then I hear people yelling at me, "Pearson, you suck! Pearson, you suck!" And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? How do they know I suck? They haven't even seen me play yet, So anyways, but then I played, or we listened to the national anthem. Obviously back then the Chicago Stadium was notorious to have the big pipe organ, and Wayne Messmer's voice just overwhelming, right? And you couldn't even hear him sing because the crowd was going so nuts. So that was my first experience. But right before this happened, I'll never forget, Tom Fergus says to me, he goes, "Get ready for this, kid." And that's when the anthem started and the crowd started going. And I don't think I've ever been in a bigger environment where the anthem was going like that and the building was rocking. And this is the first game of the season. So it was pretty crazy.
And you didn't feel the pressure at all at 18. You're the first round pick from you're from Ontario. So
yes,
and you don't feel that pressure, eh?
No, you know what? Honestly, Wally, I was just out there playing. You played the game. You get on the ice. It's just like, hey, I'm doing my job and working as hard as I can and doing whatever I can for the team to win. And that's kind of my mentality. Yeah, there's people in the stands 10 times as much as I've ever been in any rink, obviously in the NHL, of course. But it was, just out there doing my job, having fun, playing a game. Try not to think of the stress or the pressure of being a first round pick. Like I said, I probably think of it more now and look back, goes, wow, that was a lot of stress and pressure, especially as an 18-year-old. And, but at the time it was just, it was all coming at me so fast that I didn't really even comprehend the magnitude of the stage I was on.
Well, I guess 18 is young. Like, that's really young.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So then that's when you go back to junior. Okay. So then your first real rookie season, then you do play 41 games. Who's the coach? Yeah. What type of role do they put you in? Like,
Yeah.
And what type of role did you want in the NHL? Like when you're drafted 6th overall, what role did they project you as?
Yeah, kind of a power forward, guy who can score some goals and play gritty, hit and fight, play tough, play hard, be a presence, be a big body out there. It's kind of, that was, I knew I had to do that to stay.
Play up and down the
play.
lineup, play anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. If, fourth line to, if I can get to the second line and on the few teams, I was able to do that, but it was more, third, fourth line, kind of winger, crash and bang. Hard to play against, checker, and intimidate a little bit on as far as going in the corners and going against other defensemen, and that was my role. That was how I had to play, and that was how I made a career playing. Whatever 12 years it was that I played pro, I had to do that night in, night out, because that was you get labeled to be playing a certain way. You gotta do it, or else they're gonna bring in somebody else that will.
Yeah, no, and that's an exhausting role, what you had. It really sounds like it. Like,
yeah, it was. I mean, it's mentally, again, looking back, I had some real good buddies who were, major heavyweight tough guys. And, I had to deal with stuff too, going night before or day of a game, and who you got to play against and who's going to be in the lineup on the other side. And, we'd have back-to-back games in Detroit, and I'd have to play against, Probert and Kosher and guys like that, right? And stuff was going to happen out there. And I was not the tough guy, but I was one of the guys that needed to be stepping up and was expected to, right? So
any fights you remember?
Mentality.
Any fights you remembered? Like, I don't have this on any of my notes. I just have kind of stuff written down. But now that we're on it, anything you remember?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've fought some pretty tough guys over the years. Mark Tenorti and Bob McGill and Churla, Manson. I mean, it could go on. I mean, those are kind of guys just top of my head that I'm just thinking of right now. But yeah, I mean, it's Todd Ewing and guys like that. So it was you had to be ready. You were going in there, and in those days, intimidation was a huge factor, and fighting was a part of it. And I had to do whatever it took to protect myself, protect my teammates, protect my line mates. And it was fun a lot of nights, but also, your mind's rolling before the game. And then next week I got to play against, Probert, and I got to play against whomever is on the other team that's they're tough guys, right? And looking up and down the lineup and being ready. Is he a lefty? Is he a righty? How is, what are his tendencies when you're going to be matching up against different guys? You had to be,
and that's before YouTube and all that, right? That's before you can do your research, and that's like it really became very technical. Where I remember back even when I was coming up into junior, back in junior, there was still the big boys skating around at the red line during warmups, like, like, look at me. And, you warm up and the guy skates around, doesn't touch a puck, and then would sit at the end of the bench the whole game and maybe come out and do something at one point, right?
Oh yeah. No, it's all part of the intimidation factor. Even the morning skates, you go out there with your shirt off or a cut off shirt on or whatever, to kind of
I never did that. Team's
bench and shit like that, you try to intimidate, get them thinking.
I never did that. I never had to do that.
No.
Actually, the coaches made me wear a shirt.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, anything special with your time with the Leafs before you get traded to the Nordiques?
Yeah, no, I mean, just fond memories of guys that I was fortunate to play with. I lived with Wendell Clark my first year. He brought me in, and he was nice enough to put a room up for me in his place, and really I learned a lot from him, and played with veteran guys like Rob Ramage, probably one of the best captains I ever played for. Brad Marsh, Boris Alming. I mean, real leaders, real guys that were
they were all in Toronto then, eh?
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to probably look down the roster to kind of remember even more guys. I mean, we're talking, what are we talking, 32 years, 33 years ago. So, but Toronto Maple Leafs, man. I mean, I'm proud to have worn that jersey. It's an iconic jersey, and obviously one of the legendary teams in the NHL.
So you were living with Wendell. He came to Kincardine where I live. I'm in
Oh,
Kincardine,
yeah.
Ontario now. He came
Okay.
for like a charity hockey game and I played against him.
Okay.
And we battled a little in the corner and then we hit Boston Pizza for a couple beers afterwards.
Okay.
But
Yeah, great guy.
so yeah, he seemed like a great guy. Yeah.
Oh,
I think he got
absolutely.
paid for the charity game. I played pro bono.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure he probably did. Yeah. Signed a few autographs. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kissed a couple babies. Yeah. See you
Oh,
later.
yeah. He's still doing that. You know, good for him. Good for him. I mean, obviously, just a legend, right? A legend. And, you know,
Absolutely.
to think back and I know what he means to Toronto. And for me, sometimes I kind of have to pinch myself and think back. You know, he's one of my friends and we room together and we're teammates. So it was an honor for sure. Him amongst many others as well.
Yeah, your career's ridiculous. Like, yeah, I'm not a jock sniffer, but I gotta ask these questions, right?
Right on.
Okay, and then so you do get traded to the Nordiques. That is not the Sundin trade, though, right?
No, yeah, Matt's would have been
because you played with Matt Sundin, and I got it written down. He's got like 114 points or something when he's playing with you.
Yeah, Matt's was a teammate of mine in Quebec, and what a great guy. Just he was a young guy. He was the big Swede coming out of Sweden and first round pick, and you know, he ultimately obviously beyond surpassed anybody's hopes and dreams of what he would become as an NHL player. But I'll never forget. We were in a big slump. We didn't have a very good team that year, and I'd only been playing for like 2 years at that time. And Mats was like, in his Swedish accent, you know, Scotty, how do you? Is this normal? Losing all the time, and this is not very fun, you know. And I'm thinking he's asking me, and here he goes on to be an all-star Hall of Fame legend, you know. And I said, no, Mats. I said things will get better, and you know the team will improve. Just keep plugging away, keep playing hard, and what a great guy, and a great guy on and off the ice. And we also at one time, my stallmate for that year was Guy Lafleur. Guy Lafleur was
what?
Yeah, he was on his last tour. This is when he had come back after retiring. He was already in the Hall of Fame. How about that? He was already in the Hall of Fame, and he came back out of retirement, and he was my stallmate. He was on my right or left side, wherever it was in the dressing room, and we played as a line for probably a good 20 games. Mats was our centerman, and
so you were playing with Matt Sundin and Guy Lafleur.
Yeah, on a line. Yeah,
and he was going no bucket, like he had a little hardly any flow, kind of bald.
Exactly. He just, I mean,
so you were protecting him. Nobody was going. Nobody was going.
No. Yeah, well, no, everybody knew.
Nobody would
to touch him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's got no bucket on.
Yeah, everybody'd be all over him. I played with him, and Marsh was also, and McTavish was another guy that wore no bucket. But Guy was, you know, you've heard the stories. He'd go in the back of in between periods, and he'd go in the back in the stalls and have smoke, you know, and stuff like that. Back then, guys were smoking in the dressing room, in the back room, and stuff like that. But and then Tony Twist is one of my good buddies, one of the toughest guys I ever play, and we keep saying this every time we go to an opposing team's rink, right? And they'd have a whole big show for Guy, just to honor his career and honor him, and they'd give him whatever they give him. Every team would give him some different prize
or farewell tour.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
that now. I remember that as a kid. Yeah.
And so Twister and I would be sitting on the bench night after night going, man, we got front row seats again here. I love this. You know, we'd be sitting there and watching Guy Lafleur be honored, and he's our teammate. So really good memories of that. And Sakic, I was on the team. Adam Foote was on the team. Footer was still to this day one of my best friends. And Sakic, obviously a legend, and Owen Nolan.
And that's why, like, I know that maybe this is a strange question, but hold on. Captain Ronnie, India Pale Ale, Bayfield Brewing Company.
There you go. You got to send me a couple of those before next interview. Come on, man.
All right, sorry. Round two here. When your kid's playing his first game in the show, and we do an impromptu pod,
There you
we're
go.
all pissed up in the stands.
Okay, nice. Perfect.
What were we talking about again? All the guys on Quebec, and I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, when I'm picking a team in NHL '94 against Bays, like, you know, Quebec's a great team. You got Sundin, you got Sakic, you got Nolan, you know, like, and then you got Foot, Precision, and
no, we had a hell of a team. It was just kind of getting going, right?
That's when they become the Avalanche and win it, right?
Yeah, that's right. They had, you know, we had Hextall and Ricci and Huffman on that big trade. You know, then Forsberg came right after. He didn't play the years I was there, or the year I was there, or not. But they were building. You know, it was a process. They were getting better year after year, building assets and getting young guys in, developing them into you know, a great team. And then I was traded from there to Edmonton at the trade deadline. And then I think not that next year, but the year after, they ended up winning the cup after moving to Colorado. Yeah, but great experience. Loved Quebec. I can speak French, so it's kind of nice to be able to get around the city and.
Do parler français?
Oui, je parle français. Oui. J'aime ça, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
My wife loves it when I speak French to her.
Wow, I didn't know you were that good. Why would I? Is that Cornwall? Why are you that good?
Yeah, well, I took it at school in Cornwall. Yeah, I went to. My parents sent me to French school.
Yeah, I was French immersion until grade 9. Then they tried to make me take grade 10 in history, and I'm like, "There's not a chance, can't do it." And then I was out.
Yeah, no, it's good to have it. My kids are they're kind of mad at us for not putting them in French school, but
yeah, ich kann sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch, so.
No, there you go. Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
We're all good.
Biscuit. I know, like.
Oh, we'll get into that. We'll get into the mosquitoes.
Okay. Yes, right on. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, where are we anyways? I don't even know. So you got trade.
Quebec.
Okay, so you're in Quebec. That rink is awesome, eh? Playing in that rink and living in Quebec, you must have having a time.
Yeah, great memories of the time in Quebec City. Fans are nuts. The whole city is, you know, every person in that city just loves the Nordiques. And obviously, unfortunately, haven't had a team there in over 20 years. Hopefully they get one back soon, but very, very passionate fans and love the game, and the atmosphere night in, night out was excellent there. And just great memories of every year that I was there with the Nordiques. Made some great friendships, as I mentioned. And like I say, Footer and Twister and amongst others are still some of my good friends to this day, but played with some Hall of Famers and some legends over that time as well.
Yeah, I'm like a little schoolgirl right now. You talking about all these guys that were like you guys were all my childhood heroes, right? So it's kind of weird.
I understand. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that'd be like me, you know, talking with Bobby Clark and the guys he played with in that era, right? If you're a kid growing up watching certain things, I get it totally.
No, it was
not that I'm a legend like
NHL '94, man. It was it like I was still playing in my 20s, so
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but seriously, I don't know why they ranked you what they did. That was horse shit, because I'd still put you in the lineup.
Okay. I don't know the rankings, but I definitely wasn't.
That's back when there wasn't really line changes, right? So you got Sakic, Sundin, and like Nolan, or you know, there's a couple other options, but we won't get into that.
I'm not getting much ice time in your game, then, for sure.
Hey, when I'm playing, you do. I can still beat Bays with you on there. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Okay.
So, anyways, that it's so cool that you played with all these guys, and the career you had, man, is incredible. So, you like, who's the coach in Quebec? I don't even remember.
Yeah. So you asked me who my coach was in Toronto. Just back that real quick.
Yeah.
Doug Carpenter. Well, Tom Watt was one of my coaches. John Brophy actually was one of my coaches in Toronto. And actually, when I was drafted there, I went for a visit. They had a game in Newmarket. The Saints were playing, the minor league team, and Brophy was there with Gord Stellick, who was the GM at the time. So they wanted me to come and visit. So, and first introduction I get with John Brophy, he grabs my hand and he shakes my hand and he turns my knuckles over and he goes, "Let me see those knuckles, kid." So he says, "Yeah, I like you already." So he was a guy who liked fighting and stuff like that. So anyway, so I regressed, and then I had Doug Carpenter in Toronto too, who was actually our neighbor. We have a cottage in Long Sault, just outside of Cornwall, and he lives like 3 doors down from us. So it's funny, small world. So then, yeah, Quebec. Pierre Page was the first coach when I was there.
I've heard about him in Europe.
Yeah. He picked me up when we got traded. I think it was a coach GM, I believe, at that time. Then we had Dave Chambers as well. That was pretty much it during my time with Quebec. Was those 2 guys, if I recall properly.
Yeah, no, I heard of Pierre Page in Europe. He was doing things differently than everybody else.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. No, he brought some things into Quebec too, and meditation things in the dressing rooms, things that I've never seen, but I respected, and I was open to anything to make us better or make me a better player. I was willing to learn all the time. Absolutely. And he brought some different angles, thought outside the box during those days.
Yeah, I did too. I did a gag ball at one point. It was pretty weird. This thing you strap on your wrists and arms, or legs and arms. Have you the gag ball? Have you done the gag ball?
No.
I don't know what it's actually called, but that's what I called it.
That's after my time.
Yeah, I must say, yeah, definitely. It was at the end of my time. But moving on is where are we? You're still in Quebec, so then you get traded.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like one thing I wanted to bring up, because like I seemed now that I've started a pod and I figure out where people are from that like I seem to want on Halifax and like out east. You spent some time playing for the Halifax Citadels, and that must have been pretty fun living out there, because they seem like great people out east.
Yeah, I was going through. I had some sports hernia. I had a sports hernia, so I had surgery, and then they sent me back down to the minors to kind of recover. And no, Halifax was a great city out east, and some great teammates during those times, and crazy fun areas down there near the rink, and passionate fans. I mean, good. Again, really good memories of time there in Halifax for sure.
Okay, yeah, no, I've just never heard of that team, and like, there's and then like the Nordiques being done, it's sad. It really is.
Yeah,
like
it is.
But anyways, so then you were traded to the Oilers, right? Because I wasn't sure if it was you signed with them or you were traded. You were traded.
No, yeah, actually, I was traded in the summer. I think it was from.
Because it looked like it's a full season. Because what I wanted to say is, it was a full first season, and it looks like your best season in the NHL. So you were traded for Martin Jelena. I remember him.
Yeah.
Number 23.
That's right. Yeah, it's funny because he was drafted one pick after me. I was 6th, he was 7th to LA. And kind of a quick tidbit, LA, I went to visit LA the year of my draft, and they were going to draft me. I found out later they had the 7th pick. So anyways, Toronto took me 6th, 7th was Jelena, picked by LA. But that was the year of the Gretzky trade, right? So Gretzky, that was 88. So Gretzky was traded to LA for a bunch of picks and some big name guys. And one of them was that pick, which was Jelena. So he ended up in Edmonton. And then ironically, 3 years later, I ended up getting traded for Jelena he was in Edmonton at the time, to Quebec. And I went the other way to Edmonton. But I loved Edmonton. But it was was my best year in the NHL, and put up some numbers and some PIMs, and played with Dougie Wade as my centerman, so not too shabby there. Obviously, I just go to the net and he'd hit my stick or bounce off me and go in. I mean, that's how pretty much I probably scored most of my goals. But he'd get me the puck, and I'm like, how the hell did he just get that past me? I couldn't even see a lane or anything. But he was so good. And then Steve Rice was our winger for most of that year, and he was just a big big horse out there.
I know him.
Run
Yeah.
people over and, had a big shot and, we'd get some room for Dougie and he'd do his magic and put the puck on our stick. And we all had probably our best years that year in Edmonton and played with some great guys. Again, friends to today, Scotty Thornton and Shane Corson, Louis DeBrusque. I mean, that was our left wing. Imagine that, back in those days. So our left wing was Shane Corson, who was tough as nails, fight anybody. Scotty Thornton, same thing, left side. Louis DeBrusque, the toughest of all of us. And he was on the left side, and then myself. So would have been pretty intimidating to come into Edmonton if you were a right winger. So we had some great times there on and off the ice during those Edmonton days, and again made some great friends and still to today keeping in great touch. Luke Richardson is one of my best friends, and my wife and I were in Montreal a couple nights ago last week right after their playoff run, and we just happened to be, and we communicate all the time, Luke and I, and we happened to be walking down in old Montreal, and there's Luke and Steph, his wife, and my wife and I were like, can you believe there's Luke and Steph? And then we ended up going to a restaurant bar watching the soccer finals and being together for 8 hours. So, just, small world and great friendships that you make through the game and keep them to today and great times.
And that reminds me of running into a couple that I would know in Europe that we had met, like that my wife would know his wife or someone I had played with, and you run into each other at Oktoberfest or you run into each other at some other place, and you end up spending 8 hours together just having a day, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did, and it was really, really great. A lot of laughs. I mean, nonstop laughing. It was just great to see them. Great to catch up.
No, and that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing in my shed, is catching up with everybody. And it's great to get to know you better, because I was like kind of a young kid and you're the coach, right? And like, I didn't really know you. I'm just trying to play good and like hang out with the boys, right? But like,
of course.
Like this is fun for me, getting to know other people and like how it all went down. It's I don't know. It's cool.
Put the puzzle together, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I have all these notes written down, and then like you're telling me how it really went, and I had my ideas. But so, Doug Waite's your centerman, because I saw you got 19 goals, 18 assists, 37 points, and 165 PIMs in only 72 games. That's a hell of a year.
Yeah, I wish I would have been able to duplicate that. That was just the chemistry and everything. So we had Sather, we had Teddy Green started, and then Sather took over, him and Muckler kind of thing during those years. But I mean those guys had just come off winning, 4 cups and in the mid and early 80s, and I mean here we are in Edmonton. I'm playing for the Edmonton Oilers, legendary 4-cup team. They just won and just unreal. Like it just, again, thinking back, like at the time, I don't really realize what's going on. And then you're making me think back, and what an honor it was to be a part of that and meet and be with those legends, Hall of Fame guys that were my coaches, and some of them went on to actually be Hall of Famers as well, players.
Oh, no, man, everything you did is incredible. Like you put together a hell of a career. So from there, what I wanted to know is, you have that great season. So the next season, is Doug Waite not the centerman for you anymore?
No. So what happened was, it was the lockout year. And I think we played a shortened season that next year, if the stats tell that properly. So, and a new coach came in, George Burnett came in. And I don't really talk like this much about guys that coach me, because
what I wanted to say is, I can tell that after that season, you're like, I'm established, I've done it, I'm here I am, I'm an NHL player, and I'm a good NHL player. And then I see what happens the next year, and I'm like, there's got to be a coaching change.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And unfortunately, he didn't respect kind of what the guys had done the year before, and kind of had his own thoughts and what he was going to put together. And obviously, a reason why he didn't last too long in the NHL. I don't even know if he finished the season as an NHL coach. So, but again, again, I don't talk bad about anybody really, but that did kind of screw me that year. And unfortunately, I didn't get the playing time. Chemistry wasn't good. We were playing with different guys and didn't get the opportunity that I had the year prior, which doesn't make a lot of sense when younger guys are building their, doing well. That to me, you should keep guys together and keep building and keep pumping them up and, see where they can go. But if you don't do that, as well as I do, and you have the power as a coach to put guys out there, put them in situations, give them opportunity. And if you're not getting it as a player, there's only a limited amount of that you can do while you're on the ice.
I actually,
and
then I actually remember a conversation I had with it was Paul Fenton, who's like assistant GM or whatever. So his son was playing with me in Germany. And I remember being at a Super Bowl party with him, and I knew Rich Peverly, and he just won the Stanley Cup, and they had let him go in Nashville. And I said to him, I'm like, how do you let my buddy Pevs go? Like, how would you let him go on waivers? I don't understand why you just put him on waivers. And he said, to be honest, the coach is the coach. And if he's not going to play him, then you gotta send him down because and the coaches have that power. And it's like for me, when I went to pro, the coach did not put me in any position to succeed. He never put me on a power play once. And you signed me.
And that's your specialty.
That's what I am. That's who I am. Right? Yeah. And I never play on one power play ever. Yeah. That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough because then you're thinking, okay, what else do I have to do? Then you start playing outside your game, and then you're not.
You grab a guy and fight him.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. You're doing things you're not normally.
You shouldn't be. That's not who you are.
Not used to doing. Exactly.
Well, there's people that can do things it was you want to do it, you can do it, but that's not what makes you a successful hockey player. It's not helping the team. If somebody's going to fight that guy, it shouldn't be me, right? If somebody's going to go run that guy, it shouldn't be me. You got to stick to what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't put guys in roles that they're not comfortable with. You're not going to be successful. If the guy's comfortable with playing a certain role, great. And if he does it well, that's what coach has to mold everything together. Here's your first line guys, and here's your second, third, fourth. Your first pairing, your second pairing on the back end, and you build your team. You build roles. You have an idea of who's going to do what and how they're going to do it. And then you ask them to do those roles and play those roles. If you're a good coach and you put that all together, you're going to have success.
Yeah. And the thing for just a player, it's when one organization kind of lets you go, it's you got to find your way in this new room, this whole thing that's already been established. They already have their power plays. They already have their penalty kill. Yep. They already have their rotation of who goes out when. And then you got to join them and try and fit in. And you're well, where do I fit in? And it seems like that's kind of what happened to you there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's okay. I mean, I knew it was pro hockey, and you just got to deal with what comes at you. You be traded, you play different roles, you do what you have to do. And that was kind of my mentality. And again, I don't have the stats in front of me or whatever, but I think, that year, end of that year was the lockout year. And then I got traded to Buffalo at the trade deadline. I remember now. Yeah, we were in San Jose, and I got traded at the trade. I was going in the morning skate, and then who would have been probably Muckler. Yeah, Muckler said, "Just got to go see Slats and whatever," and trade deadline. Shit's up. Some stuff's happening, right? So I went in, and they told me I got traded to Buffalo for, I think it was Ken Sutton, a defenseman. I guess Edmonton needed defenseman, and then Buffalo wanted bigger forwards, and because actually it was probably a month before the playoffs, and it looked like they were going to match up against Philly. The way the standings were, it was going to be Philly was going to be first, and I think we ended up fourth or wherever it was back in those days. And So they put me on a line in Buffalo with Bob Sweeney, who was a big right-hand shot centerman, and then Yuri Himalev, who was a big right shot winger, right winger. And so I played left wing with that line, and we went up against the Legion of Doom in Philly. And
The Legion of Doom, like Lindros, Renberg,
and all
and
Lindros,
Leclerc.
and Renberg and Leclerc, and then we played against them and on a line, and we shut them down. They only scored one like even strength goal against our line, so we kind of did our job, but we ended up losing in 5 games. But neither here nor there. But it was a good experience for me because showed
what you can do.
Play defense, So I could play defense. We played hard against them. We're big body, so we made it hard on them and made sure they didn't get much room. And but anyways, they were a better team in the end than us, so not much we could have done probably beyond that. But yeah, good memories there of playing that playoff series against the Flyers. And I think that year I'd have to look back again, but I think they went on quite a run as well, especially with the Legion of Doom. They had a hell of a team.
I remember that line. That's like, you're bringing me back to my childhood with that stuff. And what's weird is when I look at you, you look like you're the same age as me. So that's freaking me out because you're talking about my childhood, but you look the same age as me. So I don't know what your problem is.
Funny. My wife cuts my hair. That's what it is.
You're just, I believe the kids are calling it yoked still, you're all jacked up still. You're still skating and in shape. And you're not just out in your shed podcasting, I guess.
I guess drinking beer.
The
odd beer, but yeah.
I'll get on the stationary bike tomorrow.
Okay, there you go. Give you inspiration.
Yeah. So okay, I guess now we're in Buffalo. We got to keep moving because you still have some more stuff I got to get into. Like,
sure.
We haven't even won a championship yet, and that's
that's
what
right.
I like. But in Buffalo, you play with Hasek, Dominic Hasek, like. That's got to be the weirdest goalie ever. But like when he was a goalie when I was a kid, it was like, how do you score on him? Like it was so bizarre what he was doing.
Yeah, it certainly was. And best goalie I ever played with for sure. And
gotta be weird.
I always tell this story to the kids I coach and anybody who brings up his name actually. But he used to, if the night before, whenever he got scored on, the next day in practice, let's say he got scored on the left winger coming off the left side and beat him glove side, or his right shot came in, beat him 5-hole down the slot, whatever it was. He would ask guys that, let's say I'm a left shot
to reenact it.
He would go reenact it. He'd want to stop 10 in a row of that simulated shot that beat him the night before. So I'd never seen that before. And you talk about the consummate professional and passionate about his trade and how he wanted to just get better all the time, no matter how old he was. And here he was an all-star by then, right? He was the best goalie in the league, but obviously you see why he was that, because of doing that extra work and putting in the extra time that probably a lot of guys probably wouldn't have wanted to do, but he did that. And then if, like I say, if a right-hand shot beat him 5-hole in the slot, he'd have a right-hand shot, reenact that same play. It was pretty wild to see, but he was a character. He was a character. One other story about him. He, I don't know what he was making back then. We're talking mid-90s. So he was probably making, I don't know, 2-3 million, whatever. He was probably one of the highest paid back then, whatever it is. So his 2-week paycheck would have been probably $200K, right? Something like that, or 150. I don't know, something like that. So the trainers once in a while would be like, he'd be gone, like he'd be out of the rink and whatever, and they'd be hunting him down going, hey, because back then you got paid by a physical check. They give you a check. And you go, Dom, you forgot your check in your stall. Like he was like that, he was that wealthy or whatever, or was not, focused on the game, that he really didn't even care about his paycheck. He'd forget his $150,000, $200,000 paycheck just sitting in his stall. So he was a unique guy for sure. Yeah.
I don't think I'd leave that one sitting around.
No, exactly.
No,
absolutely not.
I've never seen one. So I'd probably keep it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Patty LaFontaine, would that have
Yeah.
been around the concussion time for him?
Yeah, it would have been probably tail end of his career. I would say he was getting more
Actually,
concussions.
hold on.
Yeah,
Thresher, Belgian wit beer.
yeah. Okay, nice.
Okay, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Patty
No, no.
LaFontaine, because he was a really good
Yeah.
player.
Oh yeah.
Like in
Stud.
NHL '94, fast. Like he
No,
was
stud.
got to be 89 overall, I think.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a heck of a player, and learned a lot from him. He was our captain that year, and obviously he could wheel, and he was a real treat to watch. And I get the front row seats being on the bench with him, and right hand shot it could snipe, and one of the best U.S. players in history, obviously, right? But yeah, real good leader, and a real good guy off the ice too. I really enjoyed conversations with him, and obviously he'd had a phenomenal career, Hall of Fame career.
So I got a question then. Like with all this
Sure.
moving around in the NHL and
Yeah.
all that, what is it like? Like what I don't know. Like I've been in like Germany, right, and Denmark, where I signed for a year and I'm on that team for the year. Like
Yeah.
you're getting traded. There were the odd time you'd get sent down, but like
Yeah.
it's got to get a bit tiring over the years, right?
Yeah, but again, yeah, of course, it's not fun to be up and down or traded to different teams, but in the end, it's your job and it's your career, and you got to do what you got to do. And I was always a guy who really tried to adjust to whatever situation I was in and make the best of it and be happy about it, and be thankful, and just again make the best of the situation I was in, whether it was going great or going not so great, or it was a good trade or a bad trade, or whatever the situation was, and make new friends, and enjoy the city on or off the ice, whatever was going on. And it just kind of always would have that mindset going into new situations, whatever would have happened, again, whether it was a trade or a new signing or whatever it was.
No, it's cool for me. Like when I talked to you and I didn't really know you, and I was like, I don't really know what he's gonna be like, and like you seem like just the type of guy I want to hang out with. And like when you list
Right
off
on.
the guys that you were
Yeah.
hanging out with, I'm like, those seem like
Yeah.
the guys I'd want to hang out with when I was a
Yeah.
hockey player, right? Like, like the
Yeah, good guy, good guys for sure. And then that's what I get a feel from
like the
you as
Louis
well. And I knew that when I
DeBrusques and
coached you too.
yeah, like the guy. And like for me, I was always best friends with the guys that protected me. That like that's
Yeah.
always how it worked. Was my best friend was usually the guy that protected me. Thanks, Hendo.
Nice. And for me, yeah, I would say, looking back, most of the guys that I'm still friends with today were guys that would go through the wall for you, and they were tough, whether it was tough guys fighting or just tough hockey players that were big and strong, and have that edge, play with that edge all the time. I love those kind of guys. Those are my best teammates for sure.
Yeah, for me, it was just when like I knew I like they had my back and I had their back, and like just the best teammates, right? It's the best teammates you played with are your best friends, right?
No question. No questions. Yeah. To this day, like you mentioned some of your buddies' names, and you're still friends with, will always be friends. And the beauty of it is I don't have to talk to them every day. I don't have to see them. But if I see them, and it takes 2 seconds to rekindle that bond you had, whether it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I told you about the Richardson story, and I could talk to Adam Foote, tomorrow, and it'd be like we didn't miss a beat. Meanwhile, we probably haven't talked for over a year, kind of thing.
No, and
So
that's exactly how it was for me, and it's still that way for a lot of my buddies that I haven't got to reach out to yet, because I got to have on guys I don't know that well.
Yeah,
I can't just have all my closest buddies every week, because then
sure.
I'm going for the randoms, right? But
Yeah,
it's so much fun to catch up with all these people and get to know them, like
absolutely.
off the ice, and like their real lives, and like what it's
Of
really
course.
like.
No question.
This is like really fun for me. So anyways, moving on.
Wally, hold on one sec. I gotta plug in my phone because I think it's dying since our computers or mine wasn't working great. Let me just get a phone card. Phone cord. Hold on.
No worries. So I will